So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out. I especially wanted to thank all the people who contributed to Enough Say Their Names. This collaboration, I'm just really excited about it because personally, I see all these movements across the country, whether it's in Portland, sorry, people are still rolling in here. Whether it's in Portland, Minneapolis, DC, you know, I see these protests as the start of a conversation, but I feel like without works like Enough Say Their Names, the conversation doesn't continue. So I just think this book is an awesome creative way to keep this conversation and this movement rolling. And it's just so awesome that it came out of Oregon. So I'm just really excited about that. I also wanted to mention that right when this pandemic started, I was struggling with what to do as a public librarian. I was stuck at home. I couldn't go into the library. I signed up for Zoom and I said, maybe a poetry reading would be an easy thing to do. So I contacted a couple local friends. One of them was Annis, and another one was a local poet named Tom Mitchell. And then I reached out to Amalie, who I had weeks before had to cancel an in-person event we were gonna do here in Coos Bay. So Amalie and I still haven't met in person, but this is gonna be the third program we've done since. And as a public librarian, I'm all about connections and community. And I just think this collaboration is an awesome way that everybody has, sorry, people are still rolling in. It is just an awesome way to not only build community, but to make these connections that bring us all together. And if we don't have unity right now, I'm not sure what we have. So I just want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank Ron and everybody for putting this book together. And I'm going to turn it, oh, and if you need to find more events like this, you can go to coosbaylibrary.org and click on the events calendar. You can also go to enoughsaytheirnames.com to find out more about this book and this amazing project. Ron, it's all yours.
Okay. Hey, Paul, why don't you bring up the first slide that we're going to show with the photographs. And I'm going to,
one second.
I'm going to, I'll give you a cue when we want to move to the next slide.
Perfect.
I want to tell you folks that, first of all, thank you very much for being here, because it tells us a lot about the demographics and the numbers of people that really do support the cause of justice, equality, and being part of a movement to correct situations that absolutely have to change if we're going to move together as a family and a community into the future, where we're all beneficiaries of a nation that we love and respect that still has a few problems. I will start off, I'm going to tell you how I did what I did, or how I did what we did, or how we got started, why and what. I'll try and answer those in about 7 or 8 minutes, so we can move. I will tell you that I spent 147 days with these brilliant writers putting together this book, and it was not a singular event. It was something that we all did together, and it was frequently we were talking about things to make our presentation and the message clearer. When I started off doing this on June 3rd, I know specifically when it was, I had listened to an interview done by Gayle King, where she was interviewing my CEO and asking him very tough questions about what corporate America needs to do in order to bring justice to the front. And what he did is he threw down the gauntlet to other CEOs and said, we all CEOs need to step forward and leverage the power that we have in order to influence those in power in Washington, D.C. and other places, as well as change our corporation. When he did that, I started thinking again about what I should be doing. And so I spent the next 147 days rather, getting to know Breonna, George, Ahmaud, Elijah McClain, Deborah Danner, Corin Gaines, Alfred Alongo, Alton Sterling, Laquan McDonald, and Michael Brown. In 2014, I got to know Michael Brown when a co-author and I put together a book called Let's Heal STL. And we went into the streets of Ferguson and St. Louis, and we took photographs of the board-up artwork and the messages that were being delivered by the protesters. We wrote the book, and frankly, I thought that that would be the first and last of that particular genre. It was not. It wasn't supposed to be, you know. So when George and Brianna gave their lives as martyrs, unintentionally, you know, I couldn't stand the thought of sitting by and doing nothing, and so I got on a plane and went to Minneapolis. I came back home, then I got on a plane and I went to Washington, D.C. Then I came home and went to Portland and reached out to friends of mine to go to their cities and send me the messages as photographs. The writers that you have on the, you know, on this bridge tonight stepped forward and wrote their poetry and their prose to these photographs. If I counted them, I'm sure that we were in the neighborhood of about 1,000 photographs that came from professionals as well as non-professionals. And you're going to see some of those right now. Let's kind of move forward to the next slide, and we'll talk about, you know, who's involved here. And clearly, this is our mantra. You know, we want to rebuild trust. This is about asking tough questions. This book is about asking tough questions and bringing people into a frame where they are communicating with people of color, brothers and sisters who are not of color, you know, who are white. That's okay. As well as anybody that has questions about what they should be doing and how they can contribute. This book poses a lot of those questions, and these are questions that have to be addressed if we're going to move forward. Let's move forward. So 8 writers, and then we had a number of photographers as well. And, you know, I have no problem with sending an edited version of this PowerPoint out to folks after we finish up. Paul.
Excellent. And people can contact me and I can get you a copy if you'd like. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I just want to take out a couple of these pictures simply because they are copyright. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Little delay, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. So these are the people that are on the bridge tonight. The only one that I think is missing, Diane is missing, but the rest of us.
I just let her in.
Did you? Oh, awesome. Okay, so now you have the full contingent of writers that contributed to this book, and they did it selflessly. We just kept asking them. I kept asking them, and they kept giving. So these are the writers. Let's go on to the next one. These are my photographers, and they are absolutely fabulous people. Melissa Henning, Nick Peters, Dwight White, who is actually the person that did the cover. He did that on a board up piece of plywood. So if you like the cover, Dwight's the guy. Brianzo, I think, is here as well. Kevin Green. So we have a number of people. Brett and Ryan Factory, Janice, Jana, Gabrielle, Cameron, and even I took a lot of those photographs. So these are the folks. This is what they look like. Oh, and excuse me, Joan Barnage is actually the person that did the layout and design of the book. So I started it off in Microsoft Word and turned it over to her in InDesign, and she put the finishing touches on it. Michael Kahn actually did our website. Rand Manelli gave us ideas to start with, and Dwight White, of course, for the cover. And I think it's essential that we give everybody credit for doing this because, you know, they were very, very involved. Let's go on to the next one. And what I told you in this, in that slide is that be cautious about what you are hearing and what you think you are seeing because it may not necessarily represent the truth. So what you see here are a couple of photographs by my buddy Nick Peters, okay, who lives in Minneapolis. Okay, he went out onto the streets and took these photographs on the first night of protests. They do not speak to the entire story. There's a lot more. Let's go to the next one. So it wasn't all about burning. A lot of it was about protests, about messages, about communicating what we need to change and how we need to work together. The question is who's listening? And the protests and the walks and the rallies were about making sure that everybody continued to keep their ears open to hear the messages that need to be addressed. Let's go on to the next one, please. a lot of these pictures, let's go to the next. A lot of these pictures came directly, I mean, they were right there on the streets. And when I arrived in Minneapolis on Friday night, it was about walking down the streets and talking to people and taking pictures and actually looking at buildings that had been burned to the ground that literally looked like the structural steel looked like pretzels. But you know, that wasn't the story. The real story was from the individuals that were walking on the streets and taking part in the protests that were talking about their hopes and dreams and expectations for change. And so what we tried to do is capture some of those. But, you know, invariably, we were moved to do things by that video, that 8-minute and 46-second video that was horrific. And I got to tell you, until I saw the video, I would walk, I mean, I'd write at the drop of a hat. However, to actually be more involved in it, watching George die, watching him be murdered, and then going off and looking at others, Laquan, hearing about Brianna. How can we possibly sit and do nothing? I could not sit and do nothing. We had to do something. This book is the evidence of that, with all the folks that were involved. So there was a lot of brutality. There was a lot of, and it doesn't just affect Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. It really affects every single person. As long as one person is without, we all suffer. And what we're without is justice and equality. Let's go to the next one, Paul. I love the walks. I love the protests. This is in Washington, D.C. And what you notice, if you look at a lot of the photographs, you'll see that probably 75, 80% of the people, if not more, are not people of color. They are our white brothers and sisters who were part of the struggle with us. And that was so encouraging. What you also notice is that it was so diverse in terms of ages. But the people who were leading the majority of these protests were young people, and I am highly encouraged when I saw that. Silence is violence. We need to do something. We all need to say something. Let's go to the next one.
There we go.
I'm the guy on the right there, okay? Not everything was about being sad. You know, this particular gentleman drove his car all around the United States, actually collecting messages from people in the protests and allowed them to write on the car. And so I got my chance too. Let's go on. Beauty from the ashes, right? So, you know, this is a sleeping giant. We got to this point in history. And so now something has to happen. And we're about that something happening. Okay. Next. Love is loud. Yes.
Stay here or next one?
Go to the next one. Yeah, we can just roll through the rest of these. This lady was, she gave me the biggest lesson that I received during all the walks and all the being there. She was on a bench and I walked past her and I had my hand in my pocket, and sometimes guilt speaks to us. I had a $20 bill in my pocket, and I figured, well, I'm not going to do anything with this. And so I decided I was going to stop, go back, and I was going to give it to her. And so I stopped near her. I didn't get too close. I didn't want to shock her or scare her. And I called her. I said, sister. And she woke up and she smiled at me with this angelic smile. And I offered her the money. I said, here, hopefully this will help you. And she says, well, I don't need that. I don't want that. I said, it's not doing me any good. It might help you. And she says, no, just pray for me. And I said, will you pray for me? She says, absolutely. And she smiled at me. And I put my hand back in my pocket and walked away. I came back later to look for her and she had gone. But she made my 147 days work every single minute of it. She was awesome. The promise of democracy. There are so many promises. Okay, Paul, I think what we can do is we can just, this book is the culmination of 147 days. and you're going to hear the other writers read to you and share what they got from the messages and how they expanded on them. And you'll notice that we are very diverse. This group of writers, we are diverse, and it was amazing how God provided the source. So Amalie was the first. She reached out to Annis. Annis and I heard Annis and really loved her, so we reached out to her. And it was Anke and so forth and so on, all the way down to, even a Buddhist monk. So we had a very talented group with us. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually turn it over to the rest of the group, but I'd like to read you a really quick poem, and I promise to make it quick. This one is called Sitting on the Side of the Road. I had actually gone through Minneapolis on that second day through all of the burnout, and I was on University Boulevard next to a McDonald's, and I was thinking how lonely it felt that it seemed like more people should have been involved, even though there were a lot. So I called this one Sitting on the Side of the Road. Did I mention that I miss you? And standing at the water cooler talking trivial matters? That was an eternity ago. Now I park in the early hours with a Mickey D's in Southeast in view, and hungry but not sure I want to tempt fate anymore while I ponder COVID and breathing. I think of you and I wonder what has become of my golfing and poker buddy who is now so silent. And I'd say I miss you almost as much as I miss hearing your voice, but I've gotten used to its sound as I leave voicemail messages with no response. Now that District 3 is in ashes and this thing white papers call their riots, clamor for suppression, and federal troops at 1600 now, like in Portland. Did I mention that I miss the sound of your voice on those days of being reminded of the fear always present and the ache in my soul passing your manicured lawn so far from the packed dirt weeds and now the smoke that I've earned with my opportunities denied, with my patience and striving by hard work to move on up? Did I mention that my chanting and marching in the struggle misses you when the tear gas makes me vomit and gag? Did I mention I miss the brotherly hugs now distanced by the virus, the one that swept across from Minneapolis and raised a cry of frustration and anger that seemed to ride on the coattails of a pandemic, uncertain what's worse, but sure that death on any count is more than 50-50. But I tell you, I missed having you in the struggle with me to pour milk in my eyes, to ease the burning and hoping that it smothers some of the anger much deeper than smoke can reach. Did I tell you I miss you? And I don't understand why you're being colorblind doesn't translate into hurried steps that bring you to police lines arm in arm. You called me a friend and sometimes brother, but the family is here and you should be too. Pick up the phone, answer the call, come be with me. Did I tell you I miss you?
Thank you, Ron. Amazing. Great. Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier, if you all have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box at the bottom and we'll bring them up at the end. But right now we want to blow through about 5 or 6 of these writers and hear more like Ron just shared. So first up, we have Anke. You ready, Anke? Looks like you're having fun there. And Anke Hodenpijl, right?
Oh, you got that beautiful. Beautiful.
It's all yours, Anke.
Thank you, Paul. The first piece I'll read tonight is called Rise in 2020, like Maya Angelou in 1978. A sham 911 call claims a black man. A bird watcher in the park threatens her. She knows how to work it, that myth of black, the privilege of white, and so it goes. The whip hand leaves another scar, and still we rise. A companion caregiver, a black man, chases after his autistic client, tries to give his protege a toy. The cops shoot the caregiver, leave him on the ground bleeding for 20 minutes, offer no help. The whip hand leaves another scar, and still we rise. Social media posts tout, grab a gun. No one monitors these threats. Everyone is too busy building readership, collecting advertising dollars, all without shame, without responsibility. The whip hand leaves another scar, and still we rise. It's July 4th. A white man in Indiana pins a black man against a tree, yells, "Get a noose," while a KKK leader in Virginia runs his car through peaceful protesters. The whip hand leaves another scar, and still we rise. The Little Flock Missionary Baptist Church, founded by freed slaves, sings songs of praise every Sunday. 4 white men, spotted in the early morning, shoot through the front door and down the street. That's nothing new, says the pastor, who reminds us this happens across the nation, repeated many times. The whip hand leaves another scar, and still we rise. No, we are Little Flock strong. We are Black Lives Matter. Rise, rise, rise. Thank you. And this is coming from another perspective, a perspective that's mine as well. It's called Talking to Privilege. Oh, privilege, I should not wear you like a favorite sweater, hanging on that brass hook, ready for the next imagined chill. Easy comfort. I should heed your frayed seams and shabby demeanor, toss you into the trash, naive threads thick with benighted yarns, a graceless fashion, unworthy. You think I did not try to scrub the stains spun into your fabric? You, a hand-me-down, hanging on the clothesline of fragility, generations old? It is not enough to wash and wear. No, I need to disinherit your sympathy, your deceptions, your delusions. You can no longer have my body, this body, to carry your story. I am no longer your silver-haired poser. You can no longer use my skin to carry your story.
Wow. Excellent, Anke.
I just have one more. And
Go for
then
it.
we'll be done. It's a short one. It's called Beautiful River. And it was actually inspired by Ron. As he came back to us, and he says, I need more. And so, and we wanted to end on that hopeful note, and that's the way I want to end now. It's called Beautiful River. It's evening, and I walk alone. Stars light up one by one. The desert heat takes its leave. I drift into myself. Taste the names of the broken dead like sand between my teeth. So long have we held these bones, bleached in the blistering sun, collected like a souvenir from bygone days. It is a prayer to behold these marchers with their signs, one by one. There is no river more beautiful than this, no water clearer than the words they carry. I pray this water flows through our blood. Only then can my dead sing songs of praise.
Awesome. Very nice. You got a
Thank you.
beautiful, a powerful, somebody just said, wow.
Thank you.
Annis, you ready? Unmute. There you go.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I just want to remind you that poetry is meant to be read aloud. So whether you're reading our poems from this book or whether you're reading any poetry, reading aloud is always best. I'm going to start today with A Youth Shall Lead Us. And I was a career teacher for 35 years in K through 8 schools. And I found that I'm often thinking of the kids. And so this one reflects that. And our youth shall lead us. It should have been a routine trip. It should have been peaceful, calm. This girl going to the store with her cousin. Except in the street right before her, a Minneapolis PD cop knelt on George Floyd's neck. To this smartphone era teen, selfies, videos were second nature. Her camera always within reach. Her hands, her brain kicked in an almost automatic response when an incident broke down. A second cop stood guard, kept bystanders at bay. 4 more knees scored into Floyd's spine. George Perry Floyd, an unarmed black man, hands cuffed behind his back, fled for mercy. Squeezed, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Called to his mama, summoned his mama, gasped for his mama. A young black girl documented the murder as police drained Floyd's body of life. Images the world cannot ignore. Of these 8 minutes and 46 seconds ignited a movement, a revolution, thundered a call to action, detonated the spark to dismantle the atrocities of policing in this country, of injustice under the law, of racism, latent, overt, systemic. This schoolgirl, Darnella Frazier, shifted the point of view, awoke our collective consciousness, produced a catalyst for change, change in America's culture, attitudes, actions. America's history, now her legacy. 17-year-old Darnella Frazier. Thank you. And this one is Anthem of the People. And like Anke, we're going to end here. I'm going to end here on a positive note.
Keep your voice loud, Annis.
Anthem of the People. We, the people, are the beloved community, awakened and walking forward, the winds of peace at our backs. We salt the earth with the flavor of justice, cast seeds of hope and love to grow into the staff of life. We are the beloved community, the ones who've been waiting to come to redeem our nation, to change the world. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you. Oh, who do we got next? Is Annie available?
Get my sound. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah. And
Okay.
beautiful job, Annis. You're getting tons of beautifuls and thank yous.
Thank you.
So
Sorry,
good.
Annie.
Oh, it's all good. I love hearing the other.
What happened to Annie? You cut out, Annie.
Come back to me.
Oh, I hear you.
You can hear me now. I don't know what's going on with my internet, so I will try and we will see what we get here. Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yeah, we can hear you. For some reason, you're just not coming up in the speaker view. Are you there? I think we lost her.
Yeah, you've dropped out now.
Wait, Annie?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to connect back in.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
Okay, thanks. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Marilyn, you want to go now?
Sure.
Marilyn Johnston, everybody. Thank you.
Hi. It's so great to be part of this anthology. And we all know that the pain and the frustration when we don't know each other's stories in this country. And thanks for being here tonight. I thought I'd start out with this one. I'm sorry for all the things I did or didn't, for all that I said too muted or too much, or to those too closed down to hear, for the things I thought or didn't feel were important, or how I'd marched or feigned indifference with my calloused ear, for the times I praised myself as the white girl, thinking I understood, and now I know I knew nothing, for mouthing the word change, yet coming up empty-handed, too slow to shout my anguish for those still struggling to breathe. Yet I write, as we all must, in the time that's still left, shouting these words on the page as a mantra. I must bend a knee, grab a pen, mark a ballot. I must say enough. And one more. This is from a picture that I saw, and I want to represent people who are hurting from a lot that's going on in our country, and Black Lives Matter certainly being a big part of this. What matters? We left the premises weeks ago, the day the belching stack stopped and the whistle ceased, bringing the men and us few women down to the yard to click in and clock out, hundreds of us at a time, with our lunch pails and our dignity tied in a knot, boots drudging into a day without sunshine on either side of our shifts. With news of the furlough, we filed out and went home, even those of us who barely still had one, and no one to listen as the virus hit, and the unemployment funds too were lost in a vacuous space. It was in the night I remembered we left him behind, in the shuffle of leaving. We'd worked like robots that last week on the line, took turns on break, creating a monument, which we all carved in stone, left over in the supply yard so anyone could see. The likeness of his head gazing above the stacks, hope in his eyes, head tipped to heaven. Regret for all we'd lost. I had to say goodbye to this man, no knee now to hold him fast. Not a day goes by when I haven't gone back and looked up, trying to see what he sees. And today, once again, I am swept into the march as it turns the corner, and we chant in unison for Black Lives Matter, and we chant for all of us not embraced by the village, fearing we will have to burn it down to feel its warmth. Thank you.
Nice. Love the ending. Very nice. Thank you, Marilyn. Amalie, got some poetry for us?
I do. Okay. Just start out. On all alike. Soft rain dimples powdery dirt and polka dots the dust on leaves, toys left out in the yard and park benches. Heavier rain washes away debris in gutters, fills bird baths and ponds. Rain doesn't choose where or when it falls. It simply abides by condensation and gravity. One day soon, justice will be like rain, to fall on all alike without regard to who you are or where you live, no longer constrained by color, gender, or wealth, those invalid hierarchies prized in the world of men. Oh, to be free of constraints, of fear and enmity. Can you see the clouds on the horizon? They're not storm clouds of doubt or trouble, not harbingers of more bad weather. No, they are rain clouds coming to raise all boats alike, to water the thirsty land and the people yearning to live free, to seek redress, to be welcome among the throng with one other or many, to be equal under protection of the law, to be able to follow the star of hope and wonder. The rain will wash away the sins of the fathers, bringing refreshing moisture to new ideas and ideals, glad tidings of opportunity and growth when no child shall be denied the fulfillment of her dream, and all shall live, if not in complete accord, then in the cessation of wrongdoing, to embrace a singular objective of unity and oneness as a people together with common goals, all voices heard, all actions judged by merit alone. Soft rain brings needed moisture for parched crops, parched hearts and souls needing gentle touches of love and tenderness, a renewal for all alike. Oh, to be swept away by that loving caress of soft rain. Oh, to be swept away by the loving caress of kindness. What is yours to claim? Individual distinctiveness is necessary to complete the tapestry of life, making it whole, revealing why differences matter and how we learn the most from those who are unlike us. Most people believe they have souls, so what color do you suppose yours is? Does a soul even have a color, or is a soul just an abstract idea about the spark of life? If we do have souls, then how can one's appearance be more important than what is in their soul? Isn't goodness always goodness, however it is clothed? Unless you can't see past the exterior, but then why were we made in such a dazzling array of shapes, sizes, and colors, speaking different languages, having different ideas and faiths? And why, oh why, is anyone's face or skin more important than their rectitude? If you can explain why it is necessary to feel superior to anyone, I will listen, and your words will teach me who you are. My skin is fair, and that doesn't make me better than a person whose skin is dark. And in fact, by that measure alone, I'm not better than anyone because I'm one of a kind, just as you are. And yet we are all of us human beings, one species. If you ever loved another person, how wide a river is it to cross to love everyone? And then in the singular, to love your neighbor, to appreciate her appearance, and wherever she might have been born. One group, one clique, has no special dispensation to treat others as inferiors, as unworthy, as unnecessary, as marginal. How you treat others is all you will ever be able to claim for yourself.
Very nice. Thank you, Amalie.
I have one more.
Oh, go.
And after reading through all of them, I think this is my favorite one. A small boat. A rowboat is small comfort in rough seas, far from shore, but it's still better than nothing. I'm above the waves and cold water, above the reach of gnashing teeth or coiling tentacles. Not really safe, but I'm still alive, still breathing, still able to hold on to hope of rescue. And then that's when I see you, bobbing along in your bottle, a message in a bottle, stoppered with a cork. Are you the genie come to save me? Or are you just another survivor of the storm needing assistance, my assistance? Do you need me? Can I help you? I wonder who will help us. But that's for later, when we're thirsty and in need of rescue, when we're both in dire need of aid. Here, grab my hand. I'll pull you into the boat and remove that cork from your bottle. That will make it easier for you to breathe, because the boat is, after all, open to fresh air and the elements. And if we row together, it will lessen the strain. Maybe we'll find an island, some dry land to cling to, some small place of sanctuary, a haven. Then someone will come and find us, and you and your bottle and me in the boat, both of us together in the boat now, together we will be able to weather the next storm, the hurricane, the tempest. Together we'll make it to safety at last. And in the meantime, we can pull more bottles into the boat until it's so full of life that it wouldn't dare sink. Our combined strength will steer us to land, to the promised land, where we'll all be safe and cherished for having sailed through rough water, through the storm and the howling night. And then we can go forth into better days to tell our stories of the ordeal, of survival, of determination, of grit, of courage, of patience and fortitude. Life always trumps fear, and together we will overcome all odds. The boat is leaky, but it's sturdy enough. It will endure if we all pull together. A rowboat is small comfort in rough seas, but it's still better than nothing. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I feel a little better now. Excellent. So Amalie, you got some gorgeous, some beautiful. Annis really liked Justice Will Reign. And I also forgot to mention that Marilyn got very powerful, and a word that keeps popping up that kind of sums up my impression of this whole project, which is wow. You know, it's just wow. I don't think we really need to say any more. Lawrence, you got a poem or two for us? Go ahead and unmute, sir. Wait, here, let me send you a request.
I got it.
Oh, cool.
I mumble to myself often.
I know how it is.
Okay, this first one, Black Lives Matter has been on the kind of the forefront of these kind of conversations. So I thought I'd read something called Black Lives Matter. All lives didn't matter until someone said, Black Lives Matter. Suddenly and surprisingly, all lives matter. No one said all lives matter when unarmed Black people were gunned down by police for years. No one said all lives matter when a child was gunned down while playing with a toy gun. No one said all lives matter when the water was poisoned in Flint, Michigan. No one said all lives matter when Black kids were crippled by substandard education. No one said all lives matter when Black people were lynched and the crimes covered up. No one said all lives matter when Black people were redlined out of decent housing. No one said all lives matter when Black people were marginalized into the lowest paying jobs and then paid the lowest wages. If the people who suddenly have discovered all lives matter had discovered this before someone said Black Lives Matter, this Black Lives Matter, hold on a second. I lost my. Somehow it's too difficult to explain. If the people who had suddenly discovered that all lives matter had discovered this before someone said Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter has been done. Oh no. I'm sorry. I had a. If the people who had said, if the people who suddenly have discovered that that all lives matter, had discovered this before someone said Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter I'm going to skip that one because I have a program that actually types while I'm talking, and it typed right into my.
Oh no!
It typed into it, and so now the whole thing is like scattered.
I was gonna say it sounded amazing.
Yeah, it's oh, what a horrible thing to happen right in the middle of a reading.
It's all right. We'll blame Zoom and the pandemic.
Yeah. No, it's actually an accessibility thing. Oh gosh.
Hey, Lawrence,
Yeah.
I put it in a text to you, in the text box. Your
Okay.
last is in the text box.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second.
Because it's so powerful.
In the text?
Yeah, I sent you a chat.
Oh, in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
click
sorry.
chat at the bottom.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
No problem.
Okay. I'm trying to pull it up here now. Okay, now we can back. If the people who suddenly have discovered that all lives matter had discovered this before someone said Black Lives Matter, it would have had a whole different meaning. It would have called attention to the fact that some members of our society were being treated as though their lives didn't matter. It would have been inclusive. It would have said, we need to make sure every life is protected. It would have been pro-life. But now it sounds fake. It sounds like an attempt to put lipstick on a racist pig. If all lives matter to those who say it, they need to live it. They need to make sure they are as outraged over an injustice to anyone as they are to an injustice to their friends and family. They need to vote like it. They need to protest like it. They need to worship like it. They need to develop relationships like it. Absent that, I call fake. I call racism. I call hypocrite. I call anti-human. I will just raise my voice louder to say Black Lives Matter, to drown out that fake and racist retort of all lives matter.
Amazing, Lawrence. Thank you. Got a lot of truth there. A lot of agreement on that one. Did Annie make it back? Do we know?
I did. I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Do you want to give it a shot?
I do. I'm going to sing one. I'm a songwriter down here in Texas, and when Ron asked me to be included in this project, I had a song that I thought would be perfect for this. This is called Blood.
All right.
under the skin. And a pinprick will get you in. A single drop viewed by a scope uncovers secrets that you'd never know. Oh, blood, blood. Below the surface, battles are waged. Heroes and villains are deep in your veins. Oh, blood, blood. Legacies of our fathers are carried through our blood to our hearts. It's ancient oxygen that's fanning the flames of hate and love's name, tearing us apart. Oh, it's blood. And there's a story under the skin.
Awesome. Thank you, Annie. Very cool.
Patience.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you made it back and we could see you.
Me too. Thank you.
Hey, before we go into Q&A, if nobody's in a hurry, I think we'd like to hear one more poem from Lawrence. What do y'all think?
Yes.
Lawrence, you got one more in you?
Yes, I do. I thought I would do one called Kneecapped. We swallowed the American fecal that all are created equal. We wanted to believe the American dream meant for equal effort, equal reward would be sent. We pledged allegiance to this country's call that promised liberty and justice for all. We bled for this sweet land of liberty because we thought there was a me in the thee. We had faith in the facade that this is a nation under God. For all that, we clapped, and then we got kneecapped.
Excellent. So happy to see you read that, as I heard it on the public radio thing earlier today, but that was much better, especially with the smoke or whatever you got going on behind you. Hey, so we'd like to open up the floor. If people have comments or questions, you can go ahead and unmute, you know, try to be respectful, but of course, others love that one too, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for any of these awesome authors, musicians, photographers? We got it all here tonight. Margie,
don't
you're
really-
breaking up.
Oh.
You're breaking up,
Who?
Margie. Margie, you don't really have any volume. We can't hear you.
I don't know what else to do.
There you go. Now you're loud.
Okay. So if I wanted to send this to my son, can I do it, or is it all just done now?
You could send him a link to the recording on our YouTube channel once I get it loaded on there tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, I don't want that information now because there's no way I'll remember. Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
this will live on the Coos Bay Public Library's YouTube channel within a day or two. You can just go to YouTube and search Coos Bay Public. Yeah. Good question, Margie. Thank you.
I don't have a book. How do I get one? Is there a link to purchase it?
Yes, I'm going to put it in there again.
Okay, great. And this was wonderful. I enjoyed all the readings and the songs so much. I had trouble hearing a couple little things, but I will get to read it now. So what a great effort and what wonderful stories. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you, Jill.
Uh,
So I just put the link in again for enoughsaytheirnames.com, which is the website full of, you know, these words and images, but also you can order the book there. There should be lots of buy the book buttons there.
Okay, thank you.
Please support these artists because it's important right now.
yeah, we will.
Anybody else?
Annis, thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. I'm really delighted you could come.
Thank you.
Definitely. And I'm so glad
you,
Annie's
Anna.
music worked. I'd never done music on Zoom before.
Well, you know, it's been an adventure, and I have to say, isn't it cool that we get to play music in a library? Like loud rock and roll in a library?
Well, that's one of the things I miss about the libraries. We did have music all the time.
Oh, that's great.
And October is a whole week of lunch music that we missed out on this year. So thank you for giving us a little taste.
Well, thanks for your patience. I usually am much better on this, but.
No worries. We're used to it. Anna said, thank you so much, all you poets and songwriter, singer. It was a privilege to hear you read and sing your work, and I can't wait to read them all. Thank you.
Hey, Paul. Paul, can I add one last thing?
Please.
This is a limited run. Okay, now is the time to order the book if you want to get a copy. We hope to have enough resources to be able to do a reprint early in the year, but for right now, what we have is what we have. I highly encourage you to go out there and order your copies now for friends, family, and people that you think might benefit.
Kathleen's ordering hers tonight, it says.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathleen.
Paul, did I ever tell you that the event you did for Terra Incognita, you recorded it and put it on YouTube? I posted that on Facebook, and I have a French friend, so I can say that that recording went international.
Nice. Actually, the one you were involved with before, the Three Oregon Poets, that's like one of our most viewed like virtual
Really?
programs. That must have been because it was you and Annis, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure that was it.
So Dr. Meta Duua Jones, sorry if I messed up the name, has a question about the book. As a limited run, will the Coos Bay Library be able to use it in schools? So So the library is separate from the schools. So, sure, anybody in our community can come and check out books to use however they like, because we're a public library and we don't censor what people read or how they use it. But you'd have to talk to the schools about whether they would use this book. I think it would be a great resource for like high school students, but that's me personally.
Yeah. In terms of availability, Paul, if there's somebody that has a demand for it, we'll do what we can to print enough copies or take care of the demand. Just let me know.
Excellent. Good question, Doctor.
How many copies are there? How many copies were printed?
Well, we started off with 425. And the way it's going right now, it looks like we will exhaust that supply by Christmas. So there's still some on the, in the storehouse right now. So order while you can.
Good.
Sure.
If there's a demand that we haven't fulfilled, I will find some way of fulfilling that by the end of the year or at the beginning of the year.
Thank you, Alan.
Great.
Are there any in bookstores?
We did not have a publisher that had access to a lot of the brick and mortar bookstores. So if you come to the site right now, you'll get it. With a little bit of luck, next year you'll find it in bookstores. We
Awesome.
won't-
Maybe we should get more than one.
No, we should.
Anybody else have any comments, questions?
I just want to say to Paul and everyone how much we appreciate you coming, how much we appreciate you supporting us and our work, and spreading the word about our book and about our mission, because it's our mission that's important. We want to make sure everyone who can will see and hear about this book, and maybe it will begin those difficult conversations and open dialogue so people can come to an understanding. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Anna. It's
Bless
our
you,
pleasure.
Ann.
Thank you for creating it.
I would like to underscore that and say that share it with your friends. It's a good way to have conversation starters. As someone mentioned schools, that's what it takes as a citizen really to call up and say, hey, this is a good book that maybe ought to be used in schools, and especially university classes. They have classes that are and whole curricula that are centered around these kind of issues. If you have a university that have a justice department, like they're doing law, pre-law and things like that, these would be great additions to those studies. So I hope that you can, if you know anybody, just suggest it to them. That's usually what it takes. And go to your wherever you are, go to your libraries and suggest that they might want to get a copy for people,
And also, does anybody know Oprah?
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hey, that'd be a great idea.
That's Ron's most wonderful dream.
It's-
You don't have to know her, just send her a copy.
true.
Real.
That's a good point, Ron.
I'd like to say,
I'm on it.
That's
Awesome.
I'd like to say too that one of the things that I think is really remarkable about this book, along with the poetry, is that it's also an interdisciplinary study in how we express our need to rise above. I think that is one of the major things that we can do with art, with poetry, with music, with visual art. And I think we really see it so much in the images of the street art, because here are these beautiful places where these riots happened and things were burned, and these horrible lives, the horrible way these lives were taken. And these artists and street artists have come in and painted these remarkable images over this destruction. And there's this color and this life and this call to action. And I think that is really represented so beautifully in this book. And I really love the fact that it explores different ways of expressing that need. So I really want to congratulate everybody on that.
Here, here. And I just want to piggyback what Lawrence said. I think if a doctor maybe called the local school and requested a book, that might be a little influential, but I don't know. Dr. Jones. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Nope.
Cool. Well,
I guess
thank y'all.
I have something actually.
Please. Thanks, Ann.
Well, it's done on such beautiful paper. It's a very, this is like, it seems like such a work of love. Like every page is
Exactly.
laid out so beautifully. So just to say that it's kind of, it's just very special the way it's done.
Yeah, I mean, the design work was done by Joan, and we all contributed our words, but the way it's put on the page has a great impact. A lot of folks can't get past the pictures because they're so well done, and the book is so well designed. I give 99% of that credit to Joan Barnett, who's on this call.
Yay, Joan.
I have a question. When is the next reading that this group is doing?
Oh, isn't there one Thursday?
Yes, there is.
Great question. Thanks for asking.
Can you drop that in the chat, the information for Thursday time and registration information?
Okay, well, let's see.
If possible.
I can.
Or maybe Paul could send something out to the group.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
Actually, I can give that to you.
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
I have it right here.
Oh, you got it? Excellent.
Yeah. Well, that's just the local one. So if you're not West Coast, that won't work. But anyway, oh, here, the Salem Poetry Project. It's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And oops. And if you want to know more, you can contact Paul.
Yeah, I can lead people.
Yeah.
And Ron, not necessarily, but I can message them.
At work.
As a public library, we can't give people's info, but we could send something on your behalf,
It's great.
And I just want to add to what Ann said. I'm not only impressed by the actual work itself, but the time frame in which all these people got together and whipped this out. I mean, it's just amazing that we have it right now. So I'm really just honored to be part of this for that reason alone. Great work, y'all.
Thank you.
If someone wants to host a reading, how would we go about getting that going?
I'm always interested in hosting readings if I have the time.
Okay.
Feel free to contact me. I'll put my email in the chat here.
Great.
Alisa, Asila?
Asila.
I'm not sure if I understood your question. Maybe Paul did, but I didn't understand your question.
I was just asking if other folks wanted to host more readings like this, how would we go about getting in touch with this group to make it happen?
You mean, or you're talking about getting in touch with Paul to read at Cuspe, or are you talking about the artist doing it at another library, or?
The artist doing it wherever. I mean, clearly we're all at home, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just call your mom.
Okay. All right, thanks, Mom.
And I'm happy to put you in contact with any of the people involved tonight. And I'm always interested in doing more stuff like this too, as well. So
Yeah.
And like Mark at the Salem Poetry Project does them every Thursday, Amalie?
Yes.
So every Thursday, some of these folks, you know, I've seen them there get together and read for the Salem Poetry Project.
Mhm.
And this Thursday, Enough's going to be the featured book.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you said that's 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Pacific.
Okay, Pacific. Okay, thank you.
And I think if you go on Facebook or just on the web and Google Salem Poetry Project, you should be able to find the info or find Mark and figure that out.
Are all of the events posted on the Enough Facebook page as well?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll keep tabs on that. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, great questions.
Thank you.
My name's Tom, and I just wanted to say, great readers here tonight. And Annis, I particularly want to ask you, since I listened to this tonight, will I get extra credit in the writing class later on?
Well, let me just say, there are other people from the writing class on this call, and if I do it for you, I have to do it for you. Yeah.
Sorry, Tom.
But nice try.
Good answer, Annis.
And I don't know if anybody caught it, but Ron just put both his email and his phone number. If anybody wants to contact him, you know, he's the leader of this project. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that. And if for some reason you don't get it off here, you can always contact me at the library. You know, just give us a call.
Bless you, Paul.
Yeah.
And Paul, thank you for being so open and willing and enthusiastic about the project and about helping us get the word out. The Coos Bay Library does indeed rock.
Thanks, Anna. Appreciate it. We try. I'm just glad it all came together. That makes my day right there.
Thank you, Paul.
And Paul, I have a question. How would you categorize this book in the library?
You know, I was thinking about that earlier. And if you know anything about library classification, this is not an easy one because,
I know.
but when you catalog a library book, what you really got to concentrate is the main theme or subject of the book. So I might go with something like social justice, you know, some overarching theme of the book, because we can't keep it in poetry and art at the same time. We can't keep it in, you know, social studies and literature, you know, so I would probably go with social justice or somewhere around there.
Good answer.
Thank you.
There is one other thing though, is like when you do the copyright, you actually have to make your own judgment, and then I think the libraries mostly pick up from that how you classify it. At least the last time I did a copyright, I had to make that categorization.
So I think, Lawrence, you're thinking of Library of Congress subject headings that you
Right.
often, include
Right.
in your
Exactly.
publication. Yeah.
Exactly. So when your ISBN, so a library can put it wherever they want, but if you're just walking into a library, that's usually kind of the baseline, is that, you know, the Library of Congress designation, I think. So that's going to play into it.
On different levels, because we also use Dewey in public libraries, and college libraries use Library of Congress. So we kind of bend the rules here and there for our own communities, patrons, shelving needs.
Well, Paul, we'll leave it up to you if you just direct people to the book.
Will do. I think
And
most
Paul,
everybody here knows where to find me. They should have my email in the Zoom invite if they don't.
I think the other people involved with the book and our fearless leader, Ron, I think they've said it all, but we wouldn't be able to do this if you weren't here and to be so receptive. And it's so great. And I feel like we're seeing some of the familiar faces in some other readings we've done, both at the library and others. And we're starting to get to know you as friends. But thank you for everything you do to make this possible.
My pleasure, Marilyn, and thank you for coming back. So great to see you again. Marilyn has read here once before. We are becoming our own little community. I love it. Is this where we get all emotional?
Yes.
That's fine.
We've already been there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that my high emotion started, what was it, like March, maybe even February, and they haven't went away yet. I'm just all gooey.
Got any more wine left, Marge?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to say too that I didn't realize that today was the anniversary of Rosa Parks and the protesting on the bus. And I read that today and I thought, wow, is that not awesome that we're reading tonight on the anniversary of that? So we're continuing and we're moving and we're rising and we're moving forward still. We got a lot of work to do, but we've done a lot. And thank you all for listening. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Paul. Thank you to my amazing colleagues. And let's keep the fight going.
Yes, thanks for sharing that, Annie. Now I'm embarrassed. I did not know that.
I didn't know it until I read it on the news today. So that was actually some good news. I liked it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you all for putting this together. And
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll see each other again.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Great job. Amazing work.
Thank you.